Hey guys, so here I am in Bonnie's office at CSI. So she's one of our full-time graphic designers, and in her office right now we have the 3D printer. It's right here, touching it. But I'm recording this on a Mac, so I can't actually move the screen to show you what it looks like. I'm also recording on my cell phone, so you'll see some shots on there of the actual printer itself. So today what we're going to be going over is something that I've been working on throughout the week, and that is trying to print multiple items on one print tray. And the reason that we want to do that is because this is going to be a service available to students. So the students are going to come in with multiple projects. They each take several hours to print. For efficiency's sake, it'd be really great if we could print them all on one print tray, which is this thing right here, which sits inside of the 3D printer. We got a very large 3D printer, so there's a lot of print tray to work with. Yeah, so it's been a bit of a challenge trying to get this to work, and I haven't found any videos, tutorials, or articles online about how to print multiple items on one tray, although people reference doing it. So throughout this week I've been kind of troubleshooting it, so I figured an appropriate video to make would be to talk about how to do that. So here we go. I'm going to show you how to print multiple items on one tray. So to start off with, I'm just going to print a random thing. For those of you who haven't seen 3D printing in action before, here's what it looks like. So I'm selecting my makerbot software, and there's an explore button. You can explore the Thingiverse, which is where pre-assembled models are, in case you don't want to build your own models. So for testing purposes, we've just been working off of the Thingiverse. And I saw this little fennec fox before. I thought he'd be a cute thing to print, so I just selected the STL folder, dropped it into my tray, and I'm exporting the print file. It is super straightforward printing using MakerBot specifically from the Thingiverse. It's just as straightforward to print your own files from USB or anything like that, but in this case we're using a pre-generated model. So click print after you've exported it, and it says it's going to take an hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty standard. So let's see it go. Okay, so what issue I was coming up with was that when you go to prepare a file, you press prepare, it goes on the platform, but it deletes the other things that were on the platform. So what you need to do instead is actually download the file. Make sure that it's saved as an STL in your things file or wherever you do want everything to be saved. Find it easy to actually just keep it in the things file. Once you've actually saved each of your products as an STL file in a folder somewhere, that's when you can actually start adding multiple things to one print tray. If you try and just add things to a print tray, you're going to be SOL because it's going to delete the previous things on the tray every time. So here you can see I have my Baymax file already on the tray, and from here you can add file up on the top there, and it opens up your things or wherever you're saving your MakerBot objects, and from there, as long as it's saved as an STL, you can select as many as you'd like and put them on the platform. So as you can see, just move to platform, don't accidentally scale things, and move them around just to make sure that nothing is kind of on top of each other, make sure nothing is below the tray, and scale as needed. So in this case I scaled this little vase to 100 millimeters just so that it could hold pens because it was a little bit too tall to hold pens, and I don't want an actual vase. So once you've got everything kind of the way you want it, just take a double check, make sure that nothing is touching each other, give everything some breathing room so that you don't get that filament connecting the two products. And there you go, you have multiple STL files all on one print tray. And from there you're going to want to, up on the top right there, export print file and press print. And we are good to go. It's going to take about 25 hours according to this. Okay, so it looks like it took about 35 hours instead of 25 hours. But here we go. And everything's all printed. Look at it all in there, looking all cool and everything. Looks like everything printed on one tray with no problems. I'm gonna take it out and look at it. Okay, so taking stuff out is super easy. Open the little door there, take off your boopity boops, and pull the tray out. So here's everything, a little bit closer up how it looks when you take it out right away. Everything's stuck onto the tray, that's standard. So if you try and lift up one thing, you'll lift up the whole thing, so you need to actually kind of just scoop them all off one by one. I'm going to do that and show you what they look like. So you got this little, I don't know, I call it a waffle, I don't know what it's actually called, on the bottom here, and it's like a build tray, so the whole system puts that on there so that it has something to build off of while it's going, so that needs to be peeled off as well. Okay, so I've got all the things kind of out of the printer. Got a bunch of phone cases, some more phone cases, got some vases, and I got this Baymax here that I printed from my friend Beth. This right here is what you don't want to happen when you 3D print something, and this is a poorly made model. So I didn't make it, I just took a pre-made model and I thought it would be a fun thing to print. This is a Baymax from the movie Big Hero 6, and he's sitting on his little thing and it says Big Hero 6, and it says Baymax. His hands are a little bit messed up. And that's because the fingers were very difficult and they were hanging individually and everything, and that's just unfortunate, so that's a bad. But what I wanted to talk about here is the fact that because I printed multiple items on one tray, it looks like the stand that it prints on, which I call a waffle, I don't know what it's actually called, but it's this little thing right here. You have to peel them off of each project that you make, and it looks like they printed these very thick stands even on small objects. So normally on an object like a phone case, you'd have a very thin stand, only about this thick right here, like the thickness of one layer essentially, and instead I have one that's about 10 times that large. And the problem with that is that when you have a delicate object like a phone case and a thick stand, when you peel it off, it has the potential to peel off the delicate parts of your phone case as well. So that's actually what happened with this one. I started to peel it off. It's pretty straightforward to do that. You just kind of yank. And I did just break just one of these little thingies right here. It's not a huge deal. You can glue it, but still it kind of sucks if you wanted to have a finished product and you end up with a slightly broken one. So that is a byproduct of printing multiple items on the same tray, is that you're going to get a stand that is equivalent to the thickness of your thickest stand, which I think was for this little vase here, which is pretty cool. Look at it go. Wow, such a cool vase. But thick stand because it's a tall object, whereas these phones should have had thin stands because they're exceptionally short objects. So, thing that happens, I guess. Good to know. Okay, so I have everything printed, and everything's taken off of the bases that they printed on. So here's everything all together, and you can see that everything did print individually and successfully. So the only problem that we had was with Baymax's hands, and that was an issue with the modeling, not the 3D printing itself. So essentially, there is no issue whatsoever with printing multiple items on the same print tray. Something that I was worried about personally was that the extruder, while it was going, would possibly link the projects because they were all going in one line, and that didn't happen, so that's fantastic. The only issue, I guess, that you would come across would be these thick print trays, like I already said. So if you look at, I guess, the economy of cost of printing a phone case, and you have this really thick base on it, and you're looking at the cost of the filament itself. So this actually weighs a little bit more than the phone case itself. So, I mean, I guess if that's an issue. So if you are looking at economy of cost, maybe don't print multiple items on the same tray, or only print all short products on the same tray so that you only get a short base printed on it. That's the only issue. Other than that, everything went really well, so I would say this is a success. I'm going to post it on my blog. My blog, by the way, is ocropblog.wordpress.com. So if you'd like to see this video in blog format instead of on YouTube, then by all means go ahead and see it on there, and hopefully you like the blog and want to follow it, which would be great for me. So I will see you there.